Hi, I'm Natalie Jones, and I'm on the projects team with Trees for Houston, and I'm a certified arborist. Today I'm here with some of my colleagues, and we are going to show you how to plant a tree with some of the best practices for our region. Whether you received one of our trees from one of our tree giveaways, or you just found us as a resource, we're glad you're watching. Proper tree planting increases the survivability of a tree, which is our overall goal. Before we get started, you first want to figure out what type of species of tree that you have. You can determine what type of tree you have either by looking on the pot to see what we wrote down for you, or you can do a quick little internet search and you can go through different ways to identify it, whether it's by the leaf, or by the bark, or even by the twigs. Next, you'll need to determine the best site and location to plant your tree. Some of the things that will determine this is going to be the height, the type of soil, how much water it needs, how far away it is going to be planted for your house. All of these things can be found using resources that we have on our website. Now we're going to gather all the supplies that you need to plant your tree successfully. First, you're going to need a shovel, a bucket of water, and some mulch. Don't forget your tree. Today we are planting a 3-gallon tree. This is typically what we give away at our free tree giveaways as well as our tree donations. The instructions that we are providing are also applicable for larger sized trees such as 7 gallons as well as 15s. Let's get started. First, you want to start by getting a shovel. We have 2 types of shovels here with us today. One is just your regular shovel, and the other one is called a sharpshooter. The shovel is really good for doing things such as scooping out, as well as creating your outline for your hole. And the sharpshooter is really good for going really down deep into the hole to get the right depth. Sometimes the trees get stuck in the pots, but we want to use the pot to help us create a guide for our hole. So first, we're going to start by laying the tree on its side. Make sure you're very careful of watching your surroundings so you don't whack anybody in the face. If the tree seems to be stuck inside the pot, you can gently massage the outside of the pot with your hands on the smaller trees. And whenever you're doing this on a larger 15-gallon size tree, you can use your shovel to kind of whack at it. Now, to pull it out of the pot, grab the base of the tree trunk and hold the pot in place. Make sure whenever you pull, you're pulling on the tree and not the bucket. This is going to make it really easy to get it out. Flip your bucket upside down where you want to place your tree. This will help you measure the width of your hole. Using your shovel or sharpshooter, go around the sides of the bucket, and this will create the outline for your hole. Today, we are using a sharpshooter. This will also help us get the depth of the hole. When doing this step, you'll want to come out about 2 inches away from the bucket. This will give some elbow room for those roots to grow. Now that we have created the outline for our hole, we're going to quarter it. You can just take your shovel across it like Carlton is doing right now. Depending on the size of the hole, you can either do this once across or you can do this twice across. You can remove each section of the turf just by scooping it out with your shovel. To create a neat workspace, you can just fill up the bucket with this backfill. For knowing that you have the right width and depth of a hole, general rule of thumb is when your bucket is filled to the top, you have the right depth. You'll want to be sure that your hole has flat sides and a flat bottom. You may encounter some debris in your soil, whether it's roots or rocks. If you want to go ahead and move your hole, now is the time to do so. Or you can just chop up the roots with your shovel and carry on. The flat sides and the flat bottom of the hole will greatly decrease the chances of air pockets forming in your hole when planting. What will happen is air or water can fill up in these pockets and cause root rot or root desiccation. To promote lateral root growth, you will score the sides of your hole. The next step is very important, breaking up the root ball. You will lay the tree on its side and use your shovel to break up the root ball, or you can use your hands. Don't worry about ruining the roots. Roots are like hair, they're gonna grow back. Place the tree in your hole. You will want to make sure that the top of the root ball is about 1 to 2 inches above the grade of the ground. If your tree is planted too low, this can increase mortality. You can just use mulch or the backfill from the pot to fill it back up. The tree is at perfect depth. Next step is adding the backfill back to the hole. Remember how we filled the bucket up with the backfill? Now you can just take it and dump it all around the tree. Be sure to break up any large pieces that you have. For any large pieces of turf, make sure that you're placing the grass side down. This is mainly for aesthetic purposes. When backfilling the tree, be sure not to press on the soil. Always use a shovel to break up any large pieces. Pull the backfill away from the top of the root ball. Create a berm around the tree. When creating your berm, pack from the sides, not the top. This berm will help capture water on top of the root ball to make sure that your tree is nice and hydrated. To protect your tree from lawnmowers or weed eaters, you may use a tree guard to go around the base of the tree. You can find these at your local garden store. Now we will apply the mulch. The mulch keeps moisture and nutrients on top of the root ball. It's also aesthetically pleasing. Our final step is watering. It's very important to make sure that you are slowly watering your tree and letting it trickle out of either a bucket or a watering hose. Once planted, you will want to water your tree 2 to 3 times a week for about 10 minutes. If you have additional questions about watering, planting, or tree species, you can visit our About Trees page on our website, www.treesforhouston.org. On behalf of everyone at Trees for Houston, thank you for planting trees in our community.